The Denver Nuggets are quietly off to a historic start to this season. I tracked a stat that Jake Coyne made a nice little tweet about that has me wondering just how good is this Denver Nuggets team so far. Also, Nikola Jokic, he is off to quite the start himself. Around the NBA, there seems to be this idea that he's kind of in a little bit of a slump, but if you look at how he played yesterday, you look at the overall season numbers, it's actually possible he's having a career season. Also, Christian Braun has played well, but there are some things that I would like to see happen with Christian and his game that I think will help the overall team. We're going to talk about Jamal, going to talk about Jonas Valanciunas. Y'all know what time it is. This is Swiper, and this is Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Locked On Nuggets. This is your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. I hope you're having a spectacular day so far. We had a good Denver Nuggets game in which they won 130 to 124 last night. They had a 13-point lead with about 2 minutes and some change left. Let them back in the game. But look, a win is a win. They're starting off the year 4-2. Everything is kind of right in front of them. We're going to talk about the season. We're going to talk about Nikola Jokic. We're going to talk about Jamal Murray. We're going to talk about Aaron Gordon. Also, the bench unit, they're trying a different experiment with who the five-man lineup is going to be. And I think that's all a good thing, even if it doesn't produce the best results. Y'all, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. I hope you're having a great day today, y'all. We're going to get straight into it. So, I had noticed that in the Golden State game, the Pelicans, the Suns, the Blazers, and then obviously this last game they just played, I'd been like keeping track of all the scores like mentally and putting them all in my notes. One of the things that I noticed from the beginning of the year is that even if the Nuggets lost the game they lost to Portland, even if the Nuggets lost the game they lost to the Warriors, they were in very, very good position throughout those games. Now, finishing, that is something that I think will grow as time goes on, them finishing a lot of these games, making sure they got the wins inside the bag, all that. But when you look at this, the Nuggets, they have had double-digit leads of 12 or more in all 6 games that they have played so far this season. Double-digit leads for 12 or more in all 6 games they played so far this season. And so Jake Coyne from the Stat Squatch on Twitter, great follow, he noted that Denver is the 9th team in the last 20 years to lead by a dozen or more points in each of their first 6 games of the season. The previous 8 went on to win an average of 63 games that year. 4 of the 8 won the NBA Finals. And Grace asked in the comment section, how far did the other 4 that didn't win the NBA title go? The 2022-23 Bucks lost in the first round to the Miami Heat. Everybody remembers that year. The 18-19 Bucks lost in the conference finals. Everybody remembers that year. The 15-16 Warriors lost in the NBA finals. And then the 14-15 Rockets lost in the conference finals. So the Bucks were the team that did this twice, basically in a 4-year stretch, where they started off the year on a dominant pace. They were up 12 in at least the first 6 games of the year, and they ended up winning a boatload of games. And if you remember that Milwaukee Bucks team, man, like they had an insane record. I don't know if it was that year or the year right after, where they were basically like 43-8 or something like that. I mean, it was wild. And I remember the Nuggets, they went there, and that was the Michael Porter Jr., Penny Hardaway behind the back crossover game where you dropped Chris Middleton. And if you look at these teams, all of them like were great in their own right. Giannis obviously was, best in the world convo in 18-19. And then Giannis obviously in 2022-23, coming off a title in 2021, best in the world convo. 15-16 Warriors, they had the Golden State Warriors of old with 73 wins. Steph Curry, unanimous MVP. They lost to LeBron. And then you look at the 14-15 Rockets. Who did they lose to? Like they were struggling to beat these teams like the Golden State Warriors. Now James Harden on the roster. And I think for me, one of the signs of a team having dominance inside of their DNA is, are you able to go on these stretches over the course of a game where you can truly imprint your aggression, your play style, and just your IQ on the game? Because if you watch these games, man, the Nuggets, they have just been having their way so far in these games. And it's interesting to watch because when you watch them play, you're just kind of like, again, namely Portland and versus Golden State, if Jokic just has a normal game and doesn't, just absolutely flame out as a three-point shooter in that game, they win. If they had a few things go differently in the Portland game, meaning the foul call, wrap around the back with Jokic, Cam Johnson, instead of going for the layup, maybe find somebody else, didn't get blocked by Tumani Kamara. If Aaron Gordon doesn't foul on the last possession, if Jokic turns around on the little one, gets the ball, 1.4 left, turns around, shoots the hook shot from the free throw line. I mean, there are several different things that could have happened differently that could ultimately have just affected just what the Nuggets record could be. But for me, as I've said multiple times on multiple platforms, this early in the season, y'all, is about process. It's about process. It's about how do you do what you're supposed to do? How are you executing when you're on defense or when you're on offense? Like, what are you actually putting on paper and on film that says that you are going to be one of these teams? And if you look so far, the Nuggets are third in net rating in the NBA on NBA.com. They have the third best offense in the NBA currently, behind the Houston Rockets and the Philadelphia 76ers. And they have the fourth best defense in the NBA, barely ahead of the Detroit Pistons. Like, that's elite. Like, that's elite, and that's good. And what I'm curious to see is, how do they continue to find ways to win with all of the different lineup variations that they're utilizing right now? Because if you look through the five-man lineup data, I mean, just even on Data Baller alone, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 separate lineups are represented on the website because the Nuggets, they're doing everything they can to try to figure out who can play together, what synergy they can find defensively. And even as they're experimenting, like versus the Portland game, they played the 2-3 zone the entire first half of the game because they know they're going to have to be able to deploy this at some point in time, especially if, Christian Braun and Bruce Brown, those were our POA defenders, and we find ourselves in an issue where we're not making rotations correctly. We're not able to sprint out to certain places on the court correctly. All of those things could enable us to be as good of a team as we can be on the defensive end. And so we need to have the zone, whether it's a 2-3, whether it's like a 3-2 matching zone. We need to have that in our back pocket. But I love the defensive intensity so far. And I think it's important that, like, as this team is kind of figuring out who they are, that they're also connecting to this idea that you have to be able to guard somebody. You have to be able to guard somebody, and you have to be able to put your face on somebody in order to get the job done. Now, somebody said in the chat from the title I knew is you, y'all. So Coming to America, you haven't seen Coming to America. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when they're listening to Sexual Chocolate, and they're like, like he's singing the Michael Jackson song and all that, and then he's like, oh man, them boys good. And that's what the feeling I get when I watch the Nuggets is like, man, them boys good. It reminds me of like that moment where you're witnessing something happening and you're like, it's not perfect. It's not where it needs to be. The Nuggets are not hitting their three-pointers yet. They are bricking their three-pointers so far. Right now, the Nuggets are only hitting 34.7% of their three-pointers. But they're getting good looks. Cam Johnson's not making them. Jokic is somewhat making them. I mean, Jamal's not making them right now. Christian Braun's absolutely not making them. The only one in the starting lineup that's actually hitting their threes currently is Aaron Gordon, and he's shooting like 48%. 48%. And I think that once the team just like really gets into a groove, which I've said on this platform before, I think that's going to make a world of a difference for just how good they are. Like Tim Hardaway Jr. and Aaron Gordon are taking between them 10 threes a game. They're shooting 48% and 45% so far in the year. That's elite. But Jamal, 34%. And if you look at the three-point volume, Jamal taking 6 threes a game, 34%. He's a 41% three-point shooter, y'all. Nikola Jokic taking 5 threes a game. He is 29%. Now, again, Nikola Jokic is not hitting those threes right now because of game one. But, again, it's just getting a little bit more in the rhythm. On the other side, I want to talk about Jokic in particular because I do think there is a little bit of maybe some narrative around his season that is not actually based in reality. And I think he's actually playing a lot better than people are realizing. We're going to talk about all that and more here at Locked On Nuggets. Now, y'all, basketball season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real. Getting tickets can be a total headache. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout, it's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in. The app gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NBA tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. Now, you want to go to Denver Nuggets games. You want to find good seats. You want to find good prices because right now, for a majority of us in the United States of America, things are very tight. We don't have a lot of extra money to go around, but you want to make sure it's the holidays. You're with your family. You want to take your kids. You want to take your friends. You want to take your loved ones to a game. Game Time is the place to be because what you do is when you look at a ticket, you find the price. What you see is what you pay. There are no hidden fees at the checkout, and that changes everything for somebody like me. And plus, I can see exactly what my view looks like before I buy my tickets because when you look at their in-app seat view feature, it shows you where the court is and where you'll be at that price. And their zone deals are game changers as well. If you pick a section, Game Time picks your seats, and you save big on that as well. You can even find tickets to the NBA games under $25. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. We'll be back for segment 2 here at Locked On Nuggets. We're back here for segment 2 of Locked On Nuggets. Thank y'all so much for being here with us today. Make sure if you're listening to this on Apple iTunes or Spotify, give us a 5-star review. That way more and more people can listen to the great content being made here at Locked On Nuggets. Also, if you are watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. We're on the way to 15,000 subscribers, continuing to grow this community. So, Nikola Jokic, one thing that I have tried to stress with people is that the Nuggets are doing their best to not overwork Jokic early in the year, but also they're trying to diversify the offense. And so David Adelman had a quote, shout out to DNVR Nuggets. His quote was, basically when Jokic not looking to score as much this season. The only truth to that is if we can get through games without having to post him up 25 times, I think that's beneficial for us and his body. Now, that is significant because if you look at the way Jokic is playing so far this year, he is absolutely spending more time not being around the rim as like a traditional post-up player than he did in previous years. Jokic is only averaging 4.3 post-ups per game so far this year. Now, the crazy thing is, y'all, again, 6 games, so mind you, the dude has the Nuggets are scoring 1.42 points per possession out of Jokic post-ups so far this year. So it's just, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous efficiency with how he's playing so far. So they're wanting to make sure that they're giving him an opportunity to not have to be as demanding on the ball this year. And another thing that I think is really important, if you look at Jokic's overall on-ball usage this year, he has a 24% usage, meaning the amount of time of the game or of a possession he is on the ball is at 24. That is near what he did as a rookie in the NBA. Jamal Murray has a 38% usage on this team. 38%. Now, that's all purposeful because Jamal, he needs the ball a little bit more at this juncture in the season. And also they're trying to make sure they can find a way to get in and out of their offense without Jokic having to do every single thing. And so far, if you look on Basketball Reference, his usage is at 23.5. That is right in line with his second season in the NBA when he was 21 years old. It was 29.5 last year, 29.3 the year before, 27.2 the year before, 31.9, and then 29.6. So since he's been an MVP player, in all the years he's finished number 1 or 2 in MVP voting, he's basically averaging around 28 to 29% usage. Like, the team is just like, no, we're just not going to do that this year. We're going to make sure somebody else has the ball. Now, he's still getting touches, but he's not getting over 100 like he has in previous iterations. Because even right now, if you look at the NBA leaders in touches, last year, just for context, Jokic averaged 104.7 touches a game. This year, on average, Jokic is averaging just 96.5. That's below Jalen Brunson, Cade Cunningham, Luka Doncic, and Tyrese Maxey. Now, again, maybe that creeps up as the year goes on, but especially early in the year, if they don't have to, they don't need to. Now, here's the thing about where you look at Jokic's kind of play card this year. So on Data Baller, gives you a nice, really nice look at just how some of the players are performing and playing so far this year. And let me see if I can share this in a way that's like not super sketchy or anything like that. All right, let's see here. What is the best way to do this? Is that good? Is that good? All right, that's fine. So this is all on Data Baller, by the way. So it might be a little small to read, but Jokic this year is at per 75, 23.3 points a game. He's creating 26.4 assist points per game, which is wild. 13.5 rebounds a game, just 2.7 turnovers. But he's also he's averaging 4.1 deflections. He's averaging 2 steals a game and a block a game. But here's the thing that I think is really important. The Nuggets are a plus 17.5. 17.5 points better when he's on the floor. For context, SGA, I believe, was like a plus 16.5 last year. Plus 17.5. And the defense, which this for me is even more important than the offense. The offense is 11 points better with him on the floor. The defense is plus 6.4 with him on this year. That is, again, spectacular for what the Nuggets are trying to do this season. And I think if you just put all that into account, what that tells me is that the usage might be down and some of the touches are down, but his overall effectiveness might have never been higher in terms of how he's impacting winning for the Denver Nuggets. And if you look at the shooting numbers, he's shooting 91% per Data Baller at the rim. He's shooting 66% from the mid-range area, which mid-range area in this instance is like the short mid-range area. And then on long mid-range area, shooting 100% so far. Now, three-pointers is listed at 29%, but if I take out the first game versus the Golden State Warriors, Jokic is shooting 39% from three on 3.6 attempts a game. He's shooting 69% from the field, 39% from three, 86% from the free throw line. Oh, that's in 77.5 true shooting. So, yeah, Jokic is on his way to another all-time season. Jokic is on his way to, if things stay this way, the MVP conversation. I think Giannis, Luka, Jokic, Wemby, SGA is going to be insane. But again, if the Nuggets can continue to figure out their win pace and figure out how they need to play together and figure out what the lineups are going to be, and then if Jokic's effectiveness is going to be as high as it is, yeah, we're going to be looking at another year where, you know, we'll be looking at like Jokic is going to be in the MVP, if not winning the MVP conversation. He was my preseason pick. But you add in what Jay Coyne said about if you are starting off the year and the first 6 games of the year, you have a leader 12 or more, they're averaging 63 wins, y'all. If the Nuggets can get to a place where they can find a groove, and a groove in the season is when you don't have to spend insane effort, where you don't have to like go crazy to try to like force yourself to wins. If they can find a groove, this could be a 60-win team. But the next part is just going to be about like the bench, Jonas Valanciunas, Peyton Watson, Bruce Brown, Tim Hardaway Jr., and then Jamal Murray with this group, Cam Johnson with this group, Aaron Gordon with this group, just figuring out, hey, you know, how do we need to continue to learn how to play together and figure out what we're supposed to be doing? But all the way around, I think the Nuggets are playing really well, and I think that they deserve a lot of credit for that. I think Jokic is playing spectacular, and he deserves a lot of credit for how he's come into the season as well. Like, he's modified his game to fit what the team needs, and when he's had to score more, He did yesterday versus Sacramento, but that was his first 30-point game of the year. And it was only just very low impact. Like, it didn't require a whole lot. Shot 10 threes yesterday as well. On the other side, I want to talk about Cam Johnson. I want to talk about Christian Braun. And in particular, what do we need to see from both of them just down the stretch of the next few games? Not by the end of the year, but just over the next few games to maybe make Nuggets fans feel a little bit more comfortable. We'll talk about all that on the other side here at Locked On Nuggets. Now, the NBA is back, and there's no better place to get on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of a game and you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth-quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your bet into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. So right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. We'll be back for the final segment here at Locked On Nuggets. We're back for the final segment here at Locked On Nuggets. I hope you're having a spectacular day. Thank you all so much for being here with us. Make sure if you're here, all the live listeners, all the post-live listeners, please give us a subscription to YouTube. We're making sure we're going to get you on the way to 15,000 subscribers so far. But y'all, so Christian Braun, the Nuggets are playing really well with him on the floor. So same thing with Jokic. They're plus 13.3 on court. The defense is 5 points better with him. The offense is 9 points better almost with him. He's playing well from an effectiveness standpoint. Now, he's not shooting super well. Like at the rim so far, he's only shooting 66.7% at the rim. That's going to come up. He's shooting 78.9% from the free throw line. That's going to come up. But then if you look at his three-point shooting, currently right now he is shooting, 21%, which is not great. And the thing that I really want to see from Christian Braun, y'all, is really more so about the kind of shots he's generating. Because Christian off cuts is going insane. Like he's going to work this year. And you love that because especially them playing so high up the nail as they do, you want to make sure you have players that can take advantage of the fact that there's no center at the basket ever. And that means a lot. Like if there's never anyone at the rim and at the basket, you want to make sure that you're in a situation where you can just continue to find ways to get towards the basket and go towards the rim. So off of cuts this year, so per synergy off of cuts, Christian Braun, he's scoring 1.4 points per possession off of cuts this season, which again is insane. In transition, he's scoring 1.14 or 1.15 points per possession in transition, which is great. That's really good. You love to see it. But spot up shooting, 0.6. Not great. And especially given the fact that Christian this year, he's shooting 21% from three. The field goal percentage is down from last year. It's at 52.7. That will go up. But and again, just for context, y'all, I don't think that it's going to stay at 21%. But he's only taking 2.3 attempts a game from three. I just don't think that is sustainable. The defense is going to continue to figure itself out, and I think that the other stuff, just like the processing stuff defensively, that will figure itself out. But I really want to see him get the volume on the three-point shots up because that is actually what the Nuggets need in some way a little bit more than just the cutting. The cutting and stuff is good. Don't stop it. But you have to take confident three-pointers. I mean, there's no reason that Christian shouldn't be taking 4.5 three-pointers a game. Now, the question then becomes, are you going to sacrifice some of those cuts? Well, you know what? Maybe. Because if things stay the way they are, which I don't believe they will, but if he's only taking 2.3 three-point attempts a game, even if you're shooting 38, 41% on those, the defense is not going to treat you as a threat. So when you are running pick and roll, and eventually because he's doing well in pick and roll, I think he's averaging 1.2 points at possession as a pick and roll ball handler this year. Let me make sure I got that correct. As a pick and roll ball handler this year. Oh, sorry. No, actually he's averaging worse. It's actually not good at all. It's kind of slipped in the last couple of games. But I think one of the things you really want to make sure that you're like tapping into is taking more three-pointers, because if you remember the OKC series, they were going underneath those screens with Christian Braun a lot. And when you're a player that you're dependent on getting to the rim, but your rim attempts are harder because now they're basically icing you into taking a three-pointer, then it just doesn't work out for the rest of the team. And especially late game situation, I mean, teams are going to leave you. And yesterday, towards the end of the game, the Kings were kind of playing that floating style where they were kind of leaving either, Aaron or Christian. And Aaron, he's been punishing people from three. But Christian, for me, just has to be able to, I think, get the three-point volume up, because I think that's going to change the dynamics of how this team is guarded. Maybe that's a small criticism right now. Or maybe that's something that changes on its own. But it's still something that I'm looking forward to, because I think that's going to be a big story for this upcoming season. Cam Johnson this year. The Nuggets are winning his points by 6 this season. The Nuggets are 2 points better offensively when he's on the court this year. They're 4 points better when Cam Johnson's on the floor defensively this year. Cam Johnson only shooting 25% from three to start the year off, shooting 63.6% from the rim. He's shooting 80% from long mid-range, 20% from short mid-range. He's shooting 90% at the line. You love to see that. So all the way around, it's not great yet. It's only 51 true shooting for Cam Johnson. He's clearly in an early season slump. It's a new situation. David Adamman even talked about this, that it might take 10 games or so for him to get in the flow of the things and get his jumper back. But I do expect him to do it, because he works really hard at his craft. And people that dedicate the amount of time they do to their craft, I mean, he's scoring 8.5 points a game. Again, the Nuggets have a really elite offense, by the way, too. So it's number 3 on NBA.com. So it's not like it's making a big effect. But this is what I mean about rhythm. This is what I mean about everybody coming to the party ready to rock. Cam is taking his time. And Jokic talked about this in his press conference yesterday, that essentially it feels like to him, Cam Johnson is trying to be perfect. He's trying not to make mistakes. The direct quote, thank you, DNVR Nuggets again, he doesn't want to mess it up. Jokic about Cam Johnson, Maybe he overthinks sometimes, but that's fine. I think that's normal. He's a smart player. He's going to figure it out. That's what you want to see from your leader. That's what you want to see from your best player, is that, again, Nuggets fans that are not familiar, or Jokic fans, because a lot of Serbians in here that don't necessarily follow the Nuggets, if you haven't watched Cam Johnson's been a really good off-ball shooter for years. And so if the thing that I know that's going to turn the corner is going to be his shooting, that is the thing I know will turn, because that is who he's been. But right now, it's just in his brain, it's not as good as it should be so far. But yeah, man, I think, the defense has been good for most of the season so far. They're going to continue to figure out exactly what they're supposed to be doing. The offense has been elite this season. They really took their foot off the gas last night defensively. They just didn't have to. They were scoring so easily versus the Sacramento Kings. Like I said, I want to see Christian Braun get those three-point shots up. I want to see Cam Johnson just continue to play not within himself, but also take chances, man. The team's not going to be mad at you, especially within the flow of the game in the first, second, and third quarter. The team wants you to take chances. The team wants you to try things, and he wants you to experiment. So I'm curious to see how Adamman continues to tap into his skill set as the year goes on. I think Peyton Watson, didn't register points yesterday, but he's played well so far this year. The Nuggets have a lot that they're working on. They have a lot of stuff they're going to continue to get better at. But my small suggestion for everybody is just wait. Just wait. Because my rule is they're going to get to game 21. And by that point, again, Lord willing, everybody's healthy. By the time they get to game 21, I think everybody's going to kind of be looking at this team saying, wow. That's as close to a juggernaut as you can see. Because now they know each other. The lineups have been solidified. The roles have been solidified. Everybody's kind of working in sync with each other. Hopefully the record is, something really good. And, hopefully, 15-6 would be great. 14-7 would be great, because if you get to that point and you've won that many games, you've given yourself that much of a cushion, and now you're playing confidently, And then that's where you start to make your push. Like, hey, can we get to, I think in the 2023 season, they got to like 44-18. Like, y'all, can they, this year, can they get to 44-15? Can they get around there? Can they get to 44-13? Somewhere around there? I mean, again, that's just about like, you have to really catch a vibe and an energy over the course of the year. And as Jake Coynes said, 8 teams have started off, first 6 games, 12 or more points. 12 or more points they've been up over the course of a game. Those teams have averaged 63 games that they've won in a year. Like, it's just about calibrating what your roster is and then addressing the needs you have in front of you and individual players doing their job. But especially if Jokic is able to kind of just really be dictating terms like this on a low usage, it could get special real quick. That's going to do it today for Locked On Nuggets. I hope you had a great day. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you give us a 5-star review on Apple iTunes and Spotify. Matt Moore, Ryan Blackburn, and myself, we thank you so much for being daily listeners and supporting the work that we do. We do this for you all, the fans, the best fans in the world. Y'all know what time it is. This is Swiper. See you on the other side.